I made a separate freestanding mobile table for the printer, as you can see here in the shot. The reason I wanted a separate mobile table, or table I can move around, is I didn't want to take up bench space in my shop, because sometimes my projects, depending on what I'm working on, get spread out, might be there for days or sometimes weeks, such as the case of the South Bend lathe right now. I got part of it up on one of the benches and it's spread out. So there's really nothing special about it. It's a piece of 3/4 inch plywood, good one side, as a sub base. I had about a half of a sheet of plywood left over from project many years ago. I don't even remember what it was for, and stored in the pole barn. And then I also had the masonite top. Now that's an 1/8 inch masonite, it's hard masonite, as the actual top itself, as you can see. And I also had about a half sheet of masonite left over from, I don't know whether it's the same project or not anymore, but that also was in the pole barn. So I dug those two sheets out, partial sheets out. I laid out the top. I decided to go with a 26 inch by 36 inch top, which should be plenty for this printer. And I rough cut them, both pieces, on my table saw. I have an older table saw that I keep generally stored in the pole barn. Pulled that out of mothballs and laid out the dimensions, cut them. And the table saw does a pretty good job. I can cut quite square on that piece of equipment. And then I did the finish sanding around the edges to clean them up. In terms of attaching the masonite top to the plywood subtop, I use brads. I did not want to use adhesive in the event that someday I want to replace that top. It's a lot easier to replace it if you don't use adhesive, and it's really not necessary for this application. So I just use 5/8 brads. I have a brad nailer that I bought when I built this shop years ago to do the trim, the finished trim. Now I want to be clear, I do not consider myself a woodworker at all. I can get by with woodworking. Now, my father and my oldest brother, who both are now gone, they were woodworkers. You could give either one of those gentlemen a pile of toothpicks and basic hand tools, and they could build for you a fine dining room table. I don't have those kind of skills. I can get by with it, but it's really not a main interest of mine, and I have the basic tools that I can use, but I don't consider it my forte. Anyway, cut out the plywood, cut out the masonite. I created this let me show this to you here. This is the brad nailing sequence that I used. I just input some basic dimensions and layout to actually AI, and had it lay out the pattern for the brads. Was that necessary? No. I could have done that manually and have been just fine, but I was just curious, given the parameters I provided the AI tool, and I didn't want too many brads, but I didn't want too few either. So I started at, as you can see here, I think 3/4 inch inset from the edges all the way around, and then 6 brads in what's called the infield in the middle. 5/8 deep, worked fine. And then I scuff sanded the top after I had the masonite tacked down. I started at one end, on the, let's say in this instance, the right end, and worked my way to the left to flatten out the masonite as I went, so that I didn't create build in any bubble or ripple. Of course, the masonite was cut about 1/4 inch oversized in both dimensions, so I had 1/8 inch plus overhang. And then I came back with a little handheld trim router with a straight shank bit with a bearing on the bottom, which I also had around from when I built the benches in my workshop. I did build the custom workbenches in the workshop many years ago with the drawers. Again, they're not perfect, but they work fine for me. And ran that handheld trim router around the edges of the masonite just to trim it to fit. And then I used a spray can of gloss polyurethane. Still a little cool here, but what I did is, after I scuff sanded from the mushrooming of the brads at the top, smoothed it out, then I used it's a water-based polyurethane, by the way, not oil. And then first I did the back side, and that is I wanted to seal the back of the plywood and the edges before I flipped it over to mount it on the table legs, so it was sealed all the way around. And then I would push the table out on the pad in front of the shop, put a coat of polyurethane, bring it back inside, where it's of course warmer because it was fairly cold out yet at that point. Let it dry for an hour or so, pushed it back out, and it did that. I think I got 4, maybe 5 coats. In fact, I used pretty much the can of polyurethane on that top. So it's got plenty of polyurethane, and it's been drying. At this point, it's been drying probably 4 days or so, so it's good and hard. So I'm real happy with the way the tabletop has turned out, and being mobile, I can move it around and tuck it out of the way, of course, when I don't need to use it. So we talked about the legs and the casters and how I decided to attach the casters at the bottom of the legs in a little more detail. These inexpensive folding table legs, you can see them on both sides here, the black uprights. And they do fold down. You push down on that middle bar there and you push down like this, and the legs will then fold in on themselves. I'm not sure if I'm going to use that feature in this application, but it is available. And these legs really weren't being used. They've been kicking around for a while. I've used them for different projects over the years, so I just thought I'd put them back in the service for this project. And I'm not going to worry about that surface rust on those uprights at this point, maybe someday, but that's not important to me right now. You can see the casters there at the bottom. I bought a 4-piece set off of Amazon. Those are locking casters with a threaded stem, which we'll talk about more in a little more detail. Ultimately, what I decided to do to attach the casters to the uprights is I took a piece of Delrin, that's 1-inch Delrin over there, OD, Imperial, and then I just turned it to size to fit on the inside diameter of the tubing, the upright tubing for these legs. The outside diameter of the legs is approximately 1 inch nominally. They're not real consistent. The inside is around 900 thousandths of an inch, so I made some bungs or inserts to about 904 thousandths. This is the material I used. This is a 1-inch OD Delrin, which is a modern slippery engineering plastic. It's quite durable. It's very easy to machine, and I had this piece. This is originally, I think, 10 or 12 inches long. I had it available, so I decided to use this. I did debate using aluminum. I could have used 1-inch nominal aluminum and done the same thing with it, but this was available and it just turns a little easier even than aluminum. I cut off 4 blanks, like you can see here, and those are like 1.5 inches long, I believe, something like that. I didn't worry about the length because that wasn't terribly relevant. What is relevant is it had to be threaded 1 inch inside diameter. You can see right there the threaded hole. But I cut them off, faced them on both sides on my small lathe. That is not the South Bend lathe. This is the small Montgomery Ward Logan that you've seen in other videos. Faced it. Again, this is 1 inch right here. This is 1 inch in diameter, which is perfect for those legs. So then what I did is I added this 0.250 or 1/4 inch step and just turned the OD of this section right here down to about 904 thousandths, which creates a nice gentle friction fit down inside of those tubes. So this will be the in-use position with the glide, or rather the caster coming up from the bottom. Once I had this step turned right here, then I took a 3/8/16 tap and drilled and tapped this hole right here for the threaded stem that matches the stem on the glides so that they would thread in. So this is the way they'll go together. It just threads on easily like that. And of course this fits up into the bottom of the leg of the table upright. Remember, these inserts or bungs are designed to be just a slight friction fit depending on gravity and the weight of the unit to hold these in place. I think it'll be easiest just to thread these onto the stem like that first. They did send a wrench along with the casters to snug that up, and then just fit it in like that. Now I'm just going to go ahead and do the other 3, the remaining 3. If you're wondering, those stems, that threaded stem of the caster is about 1 inch or 25 millimeters long. There, so we've got all 4 of the casters now installed, so I'll flip the table back over. So now that the casters are installed, the table is mobile, and I can of course lock all 4 of them to prevent the unit from creeping or vibrating or moving around in use, as well as now I can just tuck it away, lock the casters in place, and leave it off in the corner when it's not being used. Quite happy with the way that turned out. You can see it rolls real freely. The casters, by the way, were only like $16 US on Amazon, $4 a piece. They seem reasonably well made. For my purposes, I think they're going to be very suitable.